Our guest in this segment of the program is Eric Kerns. He is the administrator at Faith Christian Academy, and thanks to Jeff Haddix for suggesting this segment. He had sent me a text not too long ago just before School Choice Week. Eric, good morning. Thanks for coming in.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Is this your first appearance on our program?
No, I believe I've been on, but it's probably been a few years.
Was it telephone or were we in studio?
I believe I was in studio.
Oh, excellent. Very good.
It's been a while.
Well, in that case, welcome back.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, how long have you been the administrator at FCA?
So I started teaching there in 1989 and then became the administrator in 95. And so other than a brief year to go teach at a college in Pennsylvania, I've been at the school ever since. So.
Very nice. And you have how many students there now?
This year, we started this year with 460 students. That was our official number.
460. And
Yes.
Where does that rank in terms of all-time highs?
That's the most students we've ever had. We have been growing a lot these last few years. So we had 420 students last year and 460 students then this year.
How has the Hope Scholarship funding affected your enrollment?
It's definitely helped. When even before the Hope Scholarship, we had been at capacity and we had purchased some land back in 2012 with the intent of building on that and just kind of sat on it for a while, did a little bit of improvements there along Route 45, the entrance. But in 2020, 2021, after the pandemic, then we really began to see the interest and the applications just expand. And so we took on an expansion program, added some portable classrooms, an actual 5-classroom building to an adjacent site. That gave us the additional expansion enrollment possibilities, and then started a building program as well. So we're building a school building for our 6th through 12th grade students, and with the intent that next fall, this coming fall actually in 25, we will be able to move our 6th through 12th graders there. Our capacity, we're really at capacity at 460 and maybe a little beyond, but our capacity next year with the addition of the portable classroom building, the existing campus, and the new campus will have the capacity to go to 750 students.
750. Are you turning any parents away right now?
Well, we are at different grade levels. We just opened up enrollment applications, online applications, at the end of business last Friday, and I looked before I came out, and we have 75 applications already just since Friday, new applications. What happens is we get applications for grades that we don't have any space for, and then we get applications for, of course, some that we do. With this expansion, we've been able to double basically our kindergarten through 8th grade, and then next year that's going to expand to 9th grade, but we're also expanding our pre-K. So we're opening up a pre-K 3 program. It's been about 20 years since we've had a pre-K 3. But because of the classroom space that we'll have we have the ability to have 2 pre-K 3 classrooms, an additional pre-K 4. So if the Lord blesses with all of those students, then we'll have literally 2 classes of each grade from pre-K 3 through 9th grade next year.
Do you have to be potty trained to get into pre-K 3?
Well, that's
I don't ask that question of everybody, by the way.
That's right. That is definitely the preference. I think the way we've worded that is that we prefer students who are potty trained, and we'll see how that goes.
It's a debate of co-hosts, by the way.
You prefer that for the rest of the grades up, too.
Yes, that is always
throw that
helpful.
out there.
Yes,
It's mandatory at some point.
That's right.
What does it cost to go to FCA for a year?
So the tuition next year for pre-K will be $7,900, and for K to 12 is just over $8,000. Actually, 9 through 12 is an additional $250. But
Now, the fear when the Hope Scholarship was developed to help students pay tuition is that schools would say, "Oh, they're going to give us $4,000 or $5,000. Well, we can jack our tuition up $4,000 or $5,000 then, and that's free money for us." Have you seen that happen in the marketplace?
I don't know of schools that have done that. I mean, number one, not everybody is eligible yet for the Hope Scholarship. So you wouldn't want to, and of course the law says you can't charge a Hope Scholarship student more than you can charge any other student. And so Our tuition has traditionally gone up anywhere from 3 to 5% each year. And one of our primary goals in our strategic, financial plan is to pay our teachers more. Traditionally, across private Christian schools, teachers just make so much less than public school teachers that it can be difficult to attract, good, qualified, certified teachers. Faith Christian Academy is fully accredited. We only hire, bachelor's degree or above certified teachers. And so the great draw for us, and the reason that we have been able to attract and maintain qualified teachers, other than the fact that I think it's a great atmosphere and a great program, is that we do provide a significant tuition discount for full-time teachers that come and teach at the school. So, somebody who wants to get their child into a fully accredited private Christian school and is going to receive a significant tuition discount for that, would certainly be attracted to our program.
So as a practical matter, in using round numbers, fake numbers, okay, if a public school student brings with him $5,000 of public school money and the tuition is $8,000 at Faith Christian Academy, as a parent, I'm functionally responsible for $3,000 of tuition to make up the difference. Is that how it works?
Exactly, yes.
Okay. Yep. And then how is Faith Christian Academy paid the public school portion? And then as the parent, how do I pay the tuition?
Yeah. So it's a great question. And if you were a Hope Scholar parent, of course, you actually have to select, the school that your child is going to attend, because as you may know, the Hope Scholarship
is lower, middle.
Well, just the location. So we are what Hope Scholarship, what the Hope company calls an education service provider. But then there are other entities that can be education service providers, not just other private schools, but actually retail marketplace, because homeschool family can use the Hope Scholarship to purchase technology, to purchase, curriculum, educational supplies, things like that. So as a school, we are a registered and approved education service provider. When families apply and receive the Hope Scholarship, then they select our school, and then we have to actually go into the site and approve or enroll them, and then there's a process back and forth between the parents and our school, and then we receive two different payments. One is usually in August, and then one is in January. And of course, the first year that this rolled out, everything was delayed from the lawsuit that occurred over it, and so they've since changed their company that manages that, and so it's been a challenge. I mean, there's no doubt. My business manager and myself and my administrative assistants, there's a good bit of time that's spent enrolling students and handling all of that process. But our families start paying their tuition in July. And then if we know that they're approved, so they've indicated to us that they've received it, they forward an email to us that shows that they have received the Hope Scholarship and been approved for that, then we go ahead and reduce their tuition by that scholarship amount, so that when their tuition starts coming out in July, they're only paying the portion that we believe that they will owe. But by contract, they owe the whole tuition. Mm-hmm. If somehow they cease to become eligible for the Hope Scholarship, they would owe the whole tuition, the full tuition.
Who's not eligible in West Virginia for the Hope?
So right now, still this year, this coming school year, only students who are eligible are students who have are entering kindergarten or are transferring out of the public schools, or what they define that as having been enrolled in the public schools for 45 days.
And so the initial guidelines when they set up the Hope are still in play.
That's correct.
Okay.
And that means that anybody who's been with our school, since before the Hope Scholarship came out is not eligible. And so
but that changes next year?
That's the way it is supposed to happen, and we're certainly anticipating that, and we've been assured by both Riley Moore before he left office, and since Larry Pack in the Treasurer's office, and new governor that is what's going to happen moving forward. So in the summer of 26, it is supposed to be available to every student in the state then.
And by the way, Larry Pack will be on tomorrow at
great.
8:35. Jonathan.
Well, I like private education. I like people having choices. I mean, I think there's a place for public and private education. Tell me a little bit about what you guys offer academically and otherwise that you think sets you apart from the public school system.
Yeah, it's a great question, and one of the things that I think that makes Faith Christian Academy unique is that we are the only fully accredited pre-K through 12th grade program here in the Eastern Panhandle. That is a non-denominational, not church-affiliated program. So we are not related to any specific church. We are a very conservative Christian school, and we have a statement of beliefs that we follow. But I think the thing that parents look for is they look for structure and loving discipline, and also just the freedom that we have as a private school to nurture and to guide and to disciple our students according to our mission, which is clearly stated on our website, to provide a biblical worldview education. So we teach every subject area from a biblical worldview. And then all the way through from pre-K through 12th grade, we ensure that the people that are in front of them in the classroom, the custodians, the aides, the administration, the teachers, that everyone is on that same page. Everyone is buying into that mission. Everyone is buying into the purpose of why we exist. And we hold them accountable to be the godly role models that they need to be for those students. So clearly, as a private school, we don't have to take every student that applies. If a student comes and they don't act in ways that are consistent with our biblical code of conduct, then we don't have to keep them. And the same thing would be true of teachers and staff members. If they're not in line with what we believe is a biblical lifestyle and code of conduct, then they just need to find someplace else to be.
So let's talk about the important stuff now, sports. What sports do you guys have? I know you have basketball. What other sports do you have? And obviously, I'm just joking. Academics are what's important.
Yes.
But what sports do you have? What sports programs do you have there for kids? Or what extracurricular activities do you provide for kids?
Yeah, if you think about the sports programs in the fall, we have soccer for the boys 6 through 12. So there's a middle school soccer team and a varsity soccer team. And then there's volleyball for girls in the fall for middle school teams, varsity teams. And those have really grown because, the enrollment has grown. And so, for example, we had 3 middle school volleyball teams this year. So we try not to do cutting students, as much as possible. But we have, even for basketball, there's a middle school A team and middle school B team, a JV boys team and a varsity boys team. And that's kind of, been, a product of the growth. But in the spring, track has been our biggest sport. And in fact, up until this expansion and growth and enrollment, we haven't really been able to field any other teams in the spring because track is so popular. So our middle school has a track team, our varsity has a track team, high school, and girls and boys at both level. And I mean, we've had as many as 70 students, on those teams. So.
Are you guys part of a league here in the region, or?
Yeah. There's the Mason-Dixon Christian Conference is a conference of private Christian schools. Some are in Hagerstown. There's one in Frederick, New Life Christian Academy. There's one out in Cumberland, Maryland, and then all the way up to Chambersburg. So there's about 8 teams that are a part of that conference. And I don't want to forget to mention, as far as other extracurriculars, we have an incredible band and strings program. Our instrumental program is just excellent, and those students, it's only maybe 8 or 9 years old, but that has really ballooned and blossomed, and quite a few students go down to the all-state band competitions, and it's just been a great program.
Eric Kerns is our guest. He is the administrator at the Faith Christian Academy, not too far from where we are located. Mr. Gilstrap.
So, how about the curriculum? Does it mimic or is it in step with what the state curriculum that comes from the Board of Education and what Berkeley County or whatever is also teaching?
So we have our own curriculum guides that we've developed over the years as a part of our accreditation process. And our curriculum guides, we note the state standards and the state objectives, and so we are aware of those. We use those when we are developing our curriculum and our objectives, but we're not bound by them. Obviously, the curriculum is from a biblical worldview, so we're not using state published textbooks.
You keep using that as a term of art, biblical worldview.
Yeah.
Does that mean creationism?
Sure, that's part of it. I mean, but basically what that means is that everything that we teach is taught from the foundation that the Bible contains truth. So certainly that applies in science when we're talking about things like the beginnings of the earth and the world that we live in. We believe that the Bible has the truth on that topic. And so we want our students to learn what evolution teaches. We want them to learn what the different theories of the beginnings and origins are. But ultimately, we teach that the Bible has the truth. And so that's true in science, but it's also true in history and English, and we're reading literature, and all of those subject areas are taught from that foundation that God's Word is true.
I went to Catholic grade school, and that was the same there. You were taught creationism, but you were also taught the Big Bang Theory,
right,
so to speak. You got exposed to all the different theories of
right.
how life was created.
Do you teach any of the other religions in the world? I'm also a product of Catholic schools, and I can remember a class where they taught, about Muslims. They taught Zoroastrianism. They taught Buddhism, everything.
Yeah, in our high school classes especially, there's a Bible curriculum that we use in our high school that does a really good job of exposing our students to the various worldviews that are out there. Because ultimately what we want is for our students to choose not only to follow God, but we want them to stand up for what they believe. And to stand up for what they believe in this world, especially in public universities, is going to require that they understand what other worldviews teach and what other worldviews stand for. So we want to expose them to all of those worldviews so that they have the truth and can stand up for that truth and can argue for that truth in a world that is becoming increasingly antagonistic towards a biblical worldview.
So do you find when not everybody starts in kindergarten
Correct.
So when people transfer in, when kids transfer in, do you find where are they in reading and math in particular relative to the students at Faith Christian Academy? Are they ahead, behind?
There are definitely some challenges with that, and with the somewhat rapid growth. That we 3 years ago had 300 students, mm-hmm. and now have 460. A lot of those students are coming from public schools. Some of them are coming from other private schools. Some of them have been homeschooled and are now able to come to faith. But there are definitely some challenges. We're looking at increasing some of our resource room personnel and the ability to help students who might be struggling. But there definitely is a little bit of a learning curve, maybe, when you think about coming in and the expectations. And I think that's the real key. And we believe if we accept a student, then we know they have the ability to learn. We know that they can achieve. It's being challenged and being held to a high level of expectation and responsibility and work ethic, and almost all of those students meet that expectation and do very well. I mean, we do a standardized achievement test every year, and our scores have almost held exactly steady for these 3 or 4 years where we've accepted a lot of new students into the school.
Do you ask what is the tipping point for the students who are transferring in from public schools? What was the tipping point that's pushed them to Hope Scholarship to come to you? Do you know?
I mean, overwhelmingly, what parents want is exactly what I just said about high expectations, that the atmosphere is conducive to learning. I mean, that's huge. And then, I mean, the overwhelming majority want the Christian emphasis, the biblical worldview instruction that I was just talking about. That's the primary reason that our families come.
Well, and I really like the Hope Scholarship just because I think there are a lot of families that want a choice, that want to be able to send their kids to a school like yours or other private schools, but did not have the economic means to do so. Right. And the Hope Scholarship gives them the ability to provide the education that they want to provide for their children,
or the atmosphere,
or the atmosphere.
I think the atmosphere is key. We get so many frustrated teachers and administrators in here who just talk about the discipline issues, right, and the two or three troublemakers in the classroom.
What's that like at FCA? How do you deal with that?
Well, I mean, you know, I also tell parents when I'm in that interview process for a new student, and tell the student as well that, you know, we're not a perfect school, and we admit human beings, and so human beings are prone to error, and
especially little ones.
Yeah. And I mean, middle school, a 7th grade boy is a 7th grade boy no matter where he is. What the difference is that we are not going to tolerate behaviors that are opposed to our code of conduct, and that includes kindness to one another. And again, it doesn't mean that it never happens, because if I've got a parent listening who's like, oh, my child got picked on, I don't doubt it. But if we know about it, then we're going to deal with it, and we're going to take that child through a process of discipline and instruction and try to work at their heart, because ultimately that's our concern. It's not just behaviors. Behaviors flow from a heart. And so we want students who have a heart to do what's right and to follow, you know, what God says. And we are kind and we love because God is kind and God loves. And that's something that we emphasize to our students. And, you know, they either get it or they don't. If they don't, then ultimately they can't continue, you know, to be a part of a school where that is the standard.
When you get Hope Scholarship money, I want to finish with this because it's become a pretty popular question. Student comes to you beginning of the year, eligible for Hope Scholarship money. They get the money, and then maybe mid-October, November, or the second semester, I'm not staying there. We go back to the public school. Do you get to keep the entire allotment of the Hope Scholarship money, or do you have to refund whatever prorated portion of it is back to the state?
Yeah, we have to refund that, and that has happened. Even this year, we had a student who just didn't stay and withdrew, and so the state provides a spreadsheet where they've already kind of filled out the the different formulas, and so we plug the numbers in, how many days of school that student attended, and then we cut them a check.
Goes back to the state.
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah. The public schools are complaining that they're not getting the money back when the student comes back to the public school. You're not keeping it. Apparently, the state is keeping it.
Well, it's definitely not us. That's no, definitely not. No, we would not be allowed.
At least half of it anyway. How do people find out more about Faith Christian Academy, Eric?
Our website is faithchristianacademy.net. Online applications are open for next year.
Can I assume if I get in as a kindergartner, I get in every year until I graduate if I follow the rules?
We do continuous enrollment at our school, which means when you come to our school, we intend for you to stay until you graduate. So absolutely.
Very good. Thanks for coming in, Eric.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it very much. It's